All right, here's a few news stories I thought were interesting. This one, I thought I was waiting for this for a long time. I think I'm irritating the people on Paul's Security Podcast by constantly bringing this up. There ought to be cyber UL listing. This is something that has been talked about for years, if not decades. You can get a can of tuna fish that says dolphin safe, and you can buy carrots that say they're organic. And the idea is you should be able to label products to say they have been through some level of security review. And you should be able to charge more for that, and then we'll see if in the marketplace consumers would like to have products that are more secure. And this seems like the first step there. Google Play has, which, and I must say this is sorely needed because I've audited hundreds of Android apps and their security is terrible. So you can have a badge on your app showing that it has been through an independent security review. And there are 6 authorized security review vendors inside recommended by Google, and they do it by a thing called the Mobile Application Security Assessment Audit, which is and apparently one thing that satisfies this is the OWASP system, which is what I was expecting. That's what I've used. I didn't know they had made, I knew they had a top 10 vulnerabilities for Android apps, but now they have a standard for mobile application security. And so they recommend this, and apparently this is the sort of audit you do. So this seems very good. I downloaded the checklist, and it's about what I expect. It's sort of an expanded version of the top 10. Yeah, I saw that shoe a while ago. That thing where you can supposedly poison your art so that it'll kill AI. Yeah, I doubt that'll actually work for long. Previous attempts at watermarking and such have not lasted. But anyway, this looks like a useful thing for Android apps, and I hope to hear more about it. I wish we could have this for a lot of things. All right. And what's interesting about this is I saw an article by Catalin Kimpanu, and he said China is going to require everybody who is popular on social media to use their real names so they can find you and punish you if you dare to criticize the government. And I was interested to observe that the official Chinese document here from a newspaper in China says they will be invited to display their real names. And I don't really know, but my impression is you will be forced to do it, but the people in China are described this as saying you're invited to do it. I think you're invited, but it's an invitation you can't refuse. But anyway, this is something Putin's wanted to do for years, and I think he's essentially doing it in Russia. They're going to outlaw VPNs next year, and he's wanted to require real names on all posts, and for the same reason China does, because they want to, lock you up in prison if you dare to criticize the government, is their concern here. All right, and see if I can dig through the garbage here. Yeah, in case anybody thought this didn't really happen, we know that enemy, only once over 500K fans, Xu says. Yeah, that's right, for this China regulation. Yeah, no, so there's some size like that, so only the really popular ones, at least at this point. Yeah, and so anyway, if anybody, HBO has been conspiring on Seek private messages to plan to criticize anyone who criticizes their shows. And they will work together to think of a stinging rejoinder and then use a fake account to post it on Twitter and such, in case anybody didn't know about this. This is the Twitter and other social media are all full of misleading posts from paid commercial entities, from enemy military, from political zealots, and from so on. So this is an issue. The same thing's true of talk radio. I knew a guy who was a liberal, but he couldn't get a job, so he took a job writing right-wing scripts to be mailed to people so they could call in to talk radio stations and then read a right-wing script, in favor of guns or against abortion or something. And a lot of people thought that when they were listening to these shows, they're listening to the real opinions of random Americans, but what they are listening to is paid commercial statements from organized groups that mail out these scripts to people and pay them to deliver them, or they certainly pay them to write them and probably sometimes pay them to deliver them, which is increasingly the case. This is the fundamental problem with a democracy and with a free market, like an Adam Smith type free market, is that people conspire to work together to overcome the competition, then your free market competition doesn't work anymore. It is the weak spot of it. And there is something called GoGuardian, which is being used as a student monitoring tool. And the idea is to catch to see if students are becoming suicidal and intercede to save them. But in fact, it's doing stuff which has been done before and turned into immediate disaster, like giving you the ability. So if you have a class computer provided by the school, they will then do things like turn on the webcam without telling you, record what you're doing at home to decide if you're doing something bad, and so on. And this is almost certainly illegal, certainly very risky, they also monitor everything else you do on it, your internet traffic, your searches, and all that. So it's the EFF warning you about this, which is the kind of thing the EFF is good for, a privacy organization, There's a whole lot of warning you when the government is intruding on your privacy in a way that is likely to do more harm than good, and this certainly falls in that category.